guys, Keith from Divorce the Horse here, and today we're going to talk about modifications to the Betty. It's time for some spring fix-up, some cleaning. I'm going to build a cabinet for a battery bank in the back because we're going to add solar power to this bad boy, and I need a place to put my batteries. And we're going to just show you some things you need to do to make your vehicle look better in the springtime, which means you will not stick out. And stealth camping, that is very important, not to stick out. You find that if your vehicle looks clean and not like a dirty rust bucket, then for the most part you get ignored. So even if you do have some rust, I'm going to show you some ways to cover that up and you know, at least hide it from a distance, which is good enough when the patrol cars come through and the office workers come through where you're camping. Check it out. Well, that's what my bumper looks like after the winter. This bumper is not really savable, so I'm not going to bother to sand it down or anything like that. You can kind of see how that's an eyesore on the Betty around the wheel wells here where it's resting. The bottom of this is just far too gone, you know, for me to take it apart and weld new metal in and all that other stuff. So basically this stuff I'm going to use is just for stopping the rust and covering it up. And at least from a distance, the Betty will look a lot nicer. I got to do around this wheel well. As you can see, last winter's Rust-Oleum came off. And, you know, this is what people see. And when they see stuff like this on your camper vehicle and it sticks out as much as this does, that's when you get noticed. That's when you're an eyesore. That's when people complain. So, doing a Hollywood cosmetic makeup job on the Betty today, to make her sides and her rusty spots not so visible, especially from a distance. Here is Rust-Oleum. It's in the automotive section, so it's not the paint. This is actually truck bed liner, and it says right here, stops rust. And that's the kind of stuff you want to put on the bottom of your van when you get started with a project like this. So let's get over here and you're going to see the difference between what it looks like before I put it on and after I put it on. See how she makes the Betty look all nice and shiny again? That's what we want. And the reason why we want that is rusty, crappy vehicles stick out, and that's when you get noticed. And you don't want to get noticed during stealth camping. Now see there? Look at the difference. Yeah, the rust is still there. She's still full of holes on the bottom. And I've got some touch-up paint to do. We'll definitely do it around the wheel wells with white. And the rusted areas on my vehicle that are white in color. But now from a distance, she looks a whole lot more civilized than she did with all that rust that was visible. And once again, this is all about stealth camping, and you don't want to stick out. Rusty buckets stick out. Authorities notice them, employees will notice it, and they're like, hey, what's that piece of junk sitting over there? It's been there for 3 days. And that's how you get noticed. You got a nice clean unit, not a problem. You don't get a second thought. Now on to the next part. We're going to move inside the Betty and build a battery box for my new solar powered system. So I need a place to sit my batteries. And I did this a little special. I used 1 inch here so it was heavy duty. And I bolted into my bed frame. And as you can see on the ends, I beveled it up at an angle. And that is for the wheel well, where the wheel well goes. So I have to take this in first and assemble it. And then screw it into the side of the bed frame. Now the bottom frame is in the van, and you're saying, where is this going to go, Keith? It's going to go right there. And can you see how those ends will play in to where that wheel well is? It'll fit right in there. And I will bolt it directly to the bed frame down there for stability. So let's get this installed. And there we go, guys. Nice little fit between my easy chair, which I want to keep, and That's my batteries will sit up there. I have extra storage under here for other things. And the cabinet will go right up there. It'll also keep my bed mattress from sliding forward, although I already have a lip there for that. I have to add another lip to the side here, and we'll do that a little bit to keep my mattress from going this way. Because sometimes I get out of bed, and it'll slide a little bit, and I got to push it back. So we're going to fix that. Easy fix. Let's get the rest of this build going. As you can see, I got the trim in on the end of the bed here. It's got another nice little lip to it, and that'll keep my mattress from sliding around. I didn't need to go the whole length, so I didn't, but just enough to get the job done. And looky here, my first war injury of the summer. Yeah, guys, it's not a project until you cut one of your fingers off. Just saying. But on a second note here, this tool right here, this power drill, sorry about the lighting. It's a Black & Decker. It's one of those battery operated ones. They cost about 50 bucks. This is the best thing you can ever buy yourself for a van build. Because every screw you see in here, every single one, the walls, the bolts in the ceiling with the steel screws, the metal screws, to the frame, everything in here that's been screwed in here has been screwed in with one of these, and I couldn't have done the job without it. You just can't. So do yourself a favor and get yourself one of these, preferably a bigger kit that has like a lot of different screw type heads. So I want to show you the expensive mistake I made because I thought I'd be fancy and save a little bit of money. And I went and I was building the top for my battery bank cover, and I got this stuff that's laminated on both sides. Looks real nice, right? Particle board in the middle. Only problem with this is that when you go to screw it in and it moves ever so slightly, the screws strip right out. Totally worthless for building cabinetry with, guys. Totally worthless. That's $31 that I have to throw in the basket on a mistake because it was going to look nice. And, you know, when you're building your van, you want it to look nice. So you can kind of understand the temptation there. But I was going to bracket all four corners and set this down on top because I'm not going to have any ends down here or down here. Because my battery bank is going to sit underneath this. And I need to run the wires out the back. And I need to let it vent air from the front. So back to Menards to get some 1/2-inch plywood instead, I guess. Lesson learned. Okay, guys, this is what I was really going for the first time. And you're wondering, well, I'm building a shelf with no sides or no ends or no bottom. And there's a reason for that. It's because this is just a housing for my battery bank. I need to get my wiring out the back of the shelving area up to the shut-off box and my readout gauges so I can shut it off in an emergency and all that other neat stuff. And it really kind of needs to breathe. So I basically put two boxes on top of each other, and you'll kind of see how it's going to go together. I used the L brackets, and this is a 3/4 inch plywood. It ran me 20 bucks for a 4x4 sheet, which was cheaper than all 3 sheets of the other stuff that was crap. Although I may be able to recycle some of that and use it for the top of the counter, hopefully, and recoup some money there. But the reason why I can use 3/4 inch screws with a 10 head on it on 3/4 inch plywood is because the bracket is just a bit higher there and the screws don't go all the way through to the other side, so it's actually perfect for the build. What I did next is I decided to use some of that particle board that was wasted, and I put some silicone epoxy, you know, just the regular caulk gun style from one of these bad boys, like that. And I used that as a sealant to seal the fancier top
you know, because I want the place to look nice. So we're going to go with that, and I'm going to put some weight on it now, and then let that epoxy dry, and then we should all be good and ready for the rest of the install. And there you have it, the rough install so far. Now, as you've noticed, there is a crack in the back. It's not flush, and the reason for that is I need to run my cables from my solar panels down through a conduit and into the back here. This top area is my battery storage compartment. It'll also make a, I did this, like I said, I used that stuff that was crappy, and it's only good for apparently table topping. So I used it for that to, you know, make it a little bit fancier. And otherwise, I think we're doing pretty good here. And then this storage down here, before I get my battery bank installed, my battery box, which was made by JW Solar USA, will go down there, and I can still use that to plug in my Blu-ray player while I sit in my easy chair with my feet on my ottoman until my TV arrives. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to screw this in and secure it here along the end of the bed to hold it temporarily. I figured I wanted something that would be easy to take this whole top off so that I could just bring in those batteries and just set them down and wire them without having to mess around with the top of the cabinetry in the way and all that other stuff. So I'll just be able to remove those screws and put it back in when I'm done. So now on to the next phase of the cabinet building here. You know, my chair usually blocks most of this, but even just seeing this much of it stick out from my chair when I sit there drives me up a tree. So in the quest to make my van look pretty, I am taking paneling left from the walls, and I'm going to put that right there. Might as well make her look nice. Now, of course, I'm no master carpenter. So yeah, I have visible screws where I put that in. I could have tacked that in better and probably use some epoxy on the back or whatever. I have no patience for those sorts of things. My chair's just going there anyway, and I'm going to get another piece of spare wood there, cover up this very end piece, and then this side will be done and the chair will go back in. It'll look a lot better. That's what's important. So there we go, got the wall in. You know, like I said, not the most beautiful work, but the chair's going to be there. In the meantime, across the street, I'm being teased by my eventual retirement RV. Right there. That's Keith's end game, is something in about that size for his retirement home. So, keep on dreaming, Keith. So guys, what'd you think? A little bit of improvements here on the Betty, and there may be a surprise announcement for you in the future here. I just found out that I might be able to acquire a shuttle bus, which means the Betty may have to go. I know, I just put all that money into the battery banks cabinet and the interior. Stay tuned and find out what happens to the Betty and what happens if I get the bus or not. You know, as they say, life is full of surprises. So stay tuned and see what happens next. Once again, like, subscribe, and share, you know, down there. And thanks for watching. Love you guys.